Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Tech Tactics here, and today we're going to be doing part 4 of my 2014 Holidays Buyer's Guide. And in this Buyer's Guide, I'm going to be teaching you guys how you could build a computer for under $1,500. Now, this is actually a lot of money, and so you will see a lot of really good parts in this list. So, hopefully you guys will enjoy this video, and I'll see you back right after this intro. Alright, and we're back. So now we got $1,500 to spend. This is a lot of money for a computer, and it's going to get you a very nicely performing computer. With that said, let's jump right on in. So in this computer, we're going to be having an Intel i7 4790K. This is a quad core, just as we saw in the i5 that we used for my $1,000 computer. However, this features hyper-threading, so we're going to have a total of 8 threads. With that said, it's not going to benefit us much, if at all, in gaming, but it will definitely be great for multitasking and video editing / rendering. So, if you don't plan on doing either one of those things, then you can go back and stick with the 4690K that I used in my $1,000 build. So, with that said, we did go with another closed-loop liquid cooler. It's the Corsair H100i. If you're not comfortable with closed-loop liquid cooling, then you can go with a really nice high-end CPU cooler, such as the Noctua. I would definitely recommend that one. However, we went with the closed-loop since this is a K-series. We should definitely try our best to overclock it and get as much performance out of it as we can. So, with that said, we are going to be using the EVGA Z97 FTW motherboard. This motherboard is on sale for a very cheap price, and it has a lot of great specs, and it should be able to do everything we need it to do. With that said, it's a full ATX motherboard. It's Z97, so it will have support for upcoming Broadwell chips, and it also has 4 slots for RAM with support for past 2666 megahertz speed, and it does have up to 32 gigs of max memory. And it does also have support for both SLI and Crossfire, and it will have SATA 6 gigabit per second, and it has a onboard USB 3 header. So it's going to have everything we need it to, and it looks really nice in my opinion, and it's at a great price. So that is why I chose this motherboard. And moving on to the RAM, I went with G.Skill, 16 gigs of RAM, 4 gig strips, so all of our strips of RAM will be used up. However, if you think you're going to need more than 16 at some point, then you can go with 2 8 gigs opposed to getting the 4 gigs. So, this RAM is 2133, which is a really nice speed, and there's not much else to say. So, 16 gigs of RAM is definitely a great amount, as a lot of games, or almost all games, aren't using any more than 8 gigs of RAM right now. But that's the same reason why I went with the 4790K opposed to the i5, is because with a higher price range, we can get higher performance, and this will be, with 16 gigs of RAM, we will see an increase in video editing and rendering along with the increase that we see when using the i7. So this will be a very powerful duo. Now moving on, we did use the same SSD that we used in $1,000 build. It's the Crucial M100 256 gig SSD. The reason why we use it at the same price point is because we can't afford a 512 gig in this price point, so we went with the 256 gig again, and the Crucial is very cheap, has good speeds, and so why not go with that one? The reason why I didn't go with the Samsung 840 EVO, like most people do, is because that was actually a bit more money, and this one is very cheap and good performance. So, for the hard drive, just like the $1,000 build, we went with the Western Digital Black. This is a 1 terabyte hard drive, and it should be a little bit faster than the blue. So any extra speed that we have in our hard drive is definitely going to be greatly accepted, especially if you're transferring videos from SSD to HDD, or vice versa, or anything else you might be doing. If you have some games on this hard drive, your loading screens might be a little quicker, and so we're definitely going to take that extra performance, as it's not much more money over the Western Digital Blue. Moving on to the graphics card, we are going to be getting an extremely high-end, very nice graphics card for this build. we are going with the EVGA 780 Ti. So this is a very nice graphics card. At one point, it was one of the best graphics card, if not the best single GPU. So to see it as low as $400 is quite awesome, and it is actually able to fit into our $1,500 price range just fine. So we definitely welcome that graphics card, and it's going to be a great pair with that 16 gigs of RAM and the 4790K. So moving on to the case, we used the same case that we used in our $1,000 build. Again, the Fantex N2 Pro. This is a great case, under $100. It's a full tower, and it's going to hold everything we need it to while maintaining a nice look. So it holds everything for now, and it will definitely hold everything in the future, as it can have support for a lot of hard drives, a lot of SSDs, multiple GPUs, so it should be able to handle just about anything you need to put in it. Moving on to the power supply, this is where we finally see a difference. In my $300, $500, and $1,000 build, we all use the same power supply, the Corsair CX600M. However, for this build, we're taking it a step up. We're using the Corsair RM 750 watt. 750 watts is definitely going to be enough for SLI with this 780 Ti, and the RM is fully modular at a very cheap price. Now, a lot of people would argue this power supply is overused, but in all fairness, it might be overused because it's actually quite cheap. It's 80 plus gold, opposed to a lot of power supplies being 80 plus bronze, and Corsair is a very reliable brand. So that's why we went with this power supply over a different version. For the fans, in this build we actually had a little bit of money left over, but not quite enough to throw it towards any other parts that would drastically increase performance. So I decided to add in two Corsair 120mm fans to get some nice additional cooling in there, along with the Corsair H100i heatsink that we used. So we should have some nice cooling in our Fantex case, and it will look really nice with the modular power supply and perform extremely well with that 4790K, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 780 Ti. So at $1,500, this is definitely very high-end, very nice build, and it should be able to handle anything you throw at it for quite some time. So with that said, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like, and I would really appreciate it. If you guys are interested in seeing any other videos of this series or any other videos that I produce, definitely please be sure to subscribe to the channel, as it really helps me out a lot. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.